Hey guys, Mike here. So happy Saturday, and we get to answer all your questions and comments and stuff. And you had some good ones, and we're going to start off with Tesla because I did open a poll on Patreon to the public, on YouTube to the public, and then of course the comments. So I had to go through and literally count all of your votes and stuff. And I appreciate each and every one of you who participated. Thank you for that right there. And the results were much closer than I thought they would be. Let me know what you think. And there was three things I noticed when I was reading through the comments on the two polls, and then what you were putting in the comments on Friday's video. And there's votes still rolling in, but we end up counting as I'm doing this video 1,214 votes, and we ended up with 58% no, 42% yes. So let me know if that surprised you that it was that close, or you thought maybe everybody would go yes or no in the comments down below. But the three things I noticed was, one that surprised me was people that identify themselves between 60 and like 80 years old, in that range. I think the majority of them said yes. You can look through the YouTube comments and you'll see that. Two was a lot of people who said no really are, I mean, probably a third of them were just tech conscious like me. They're like, you know what, you prove it, and once it really proves itself, then, you know, I'll do it or something, right? So that's kind of how I am with stuff. Three is, you got a lot of people in the comments say, I'll only do Tesla Robotaxis. So they won't do Waymo in California, who just got approved to go into Los Angeles. Not on the freeway. That was another thing I noticed. People said, you know, 35 and under in town, sure. I'm not getting on the interstate in one of those things and doing 65, 70 miles an hour. That was another thing. Then you had also had people who just hate Elon and Tesla, and they said I'd never do any of it. So I noticed that. But, you know, surprisingly, not anywhere near as bad as I thought. So I appreciate all you guys, especially the ones who identified their age and everything else. And so that was good. And some of you guys are very passionate, saying there's no way ever, right? And so, again, I think it's like with anything else, it'll take time. And we'll see, because like you guys point out Waymo, and so I looked them up, and I mean, they've been doing okay, but they're not allowed on the freeway. It's just around town. So we'll see how Los Angeles does. Now, the one thing is, one of you guys pointed out, and I appreciate it right here, what people just don't seem to understand about this is, and the only reason I understand is because I have this channel, I've done a lot of research on this stuff, as Neptune Knives here says, which I like the name, FSD requires so much legislation, that alone adds years to this story. And yes, I did a whole video on Tesla, because a lot of people think Tesla, if you ask them, they'll say, oh, I think Tesla came public and started making cars in 2018. Tesla was public well before that, right? But why they struggle for so many years is, they either didn't know or just thought they'd get around it. The franchise laws. A lot of people, and I didn't know this, in states, each individual state, you have to go to the legislation because they were protecting the dealerships. Of course, Tesla don't have dealerships, right? And so the only way you can sell cars is through a dealership in a way. And so they had these laws in place to block Tesla. And so finally, Elon Musk said, we got to start hiring lawyers, and he spent millions on lawyers and lobbyists, right? So he realized he had to start writing checks. Okay, and he started suing state governments and you know, paying off the officials legally and stuff by writing campaign contributions. And so that's what they had to do. It's going to be no different in this fight right here. Like, it is going to take years, because if you think like New York City and a lot of these other places that employ a lot of taxi cab drivers are going to allow this to happen and displace their workers who vote and pay taxes, because autonomous taxis, AI, don't pay taxes and they don't vote. Okay, you are sadly mistaken. In other countries, I'm sure it's going to be easier to do this, of course, but in here, you got to go state by state. And so it is going to be an uphill battle for sure. I mean, look where we're at on Robotaxis in California, which is the EV capital of the world, right? I mean, you would have thought they've been way farther along than they have. I think it was a GM that scrapped their whole autonomous taxi deal or something like that because of accidents. But again, you know, I know Tesla's got the best and all that stuff, but the other uphill battle is going to be, as soon as there's an accident, like something major happens, I'm telling you, you're going to see people step in, start protesting, and the politicians go, oh, those people vote, you know. So it's definitely an uphill battle. And even if you saw my video yesterday, right, I had that lady on, I showed that lady's interview for a reason, because she has her own personal money in Tesla. But even she said, if they pivot to Robotaxi, I mean, and that's what Elon's tweet kind of said, and start putting a boatload of money in and really pushing hard for that, those revenue streams aren't going to be coming in for years. That are going to make a big difference, right? I mean, think about, I mean, what was it, 5 years ago, I kept hearing about the energy sector and how much money was going to be rolling in. And yeah, they've increased the revenue, but I think if people were honest, they would say 4 years later from now, like 4 years like now, when they're looking at it going, I thought it would be more, right? But it's just the way it is, right? And so, you know, even that lady said, If this was just dependent on the United States for EVs, she wouldn't even be invested in it. And that's the way it is. Like the United States we're definitely behind in that spectrum. It's a lot harder to get things done here than it is in other countries. And so, it's going to be an uphill battle for sure. Let me know what you think in the comments. The other big question is about the valuation. Their valuation stuff is always the big one. And so here's what people don't seem to get about the valuation. And before we continue, guys, please hit that thumbs up down there. It helps people find the video. I really appreciate that. And think about subscribing if you like these kind of videos. As MR Tony says, I just don't get Tesla's valuation. It has half the revenue of Ford and GM, but has had a market cap between 10 to 20x higher. And the reason for this is very simple, because for years, what they've been saying, it's a tech company, not a car company, right? Now, of course, I've been one of those people, it's not any hate for Tesla. It's, I'd have a Tesla. I'd drive a Tesla. Don't bother me. I'd have Elon Musk in my house for dinner if you want to come over and talk. That ain't going to happen, but it'd be cool. But it's one of those things where when 90+% of your revenue is from one thing, which is cars, it's a very tech savvy car, you're a car company, right? And so that's why they had that such crazy valuation, because they were supposed to be going, I keep saying valuation, because they're supposed to have all this revenue coming in from the energy, and we we're going to be all in EVs within by 2023, and the autonomous drivers everywhere, and Robotaxis are supposed to already be going and stuff. And so everybody was kind of putting that in there, and then the premium was so good, that's what really drove it up. The options market just started buying it up like crazy and driving the stock price up, and they kept doing stock splits, and so that mania and stuff. And now that's over and the dust has settled, they realize, oh boy, it's a huge problem. Plus, at no fault to its own, maybe it's its fault, that any company, it's not just Tesla, any company that has a lot of exposure to China right now, it's rough, right? Look at Apple. Apple is the largest stock owned in every pension fund and everything else. And it's literally, as the stock market went up, it's just been going down, right? Because not just them, anybody exposed to China right now is having a major problem. So, but that's why the valuation was always so much higher. It is coming down now and all that good stuff. But, we'll see what they do. Now, next one here, Brian asked, Mike, can you share where you get the weekly expected moves from? And for me, I take the shortcut of this. You can actually calculate it up yourself. But I use Thinkorswim. I use a cheat shortcut here. As you can see, I should go in here, hit all products, and say for SPX, for example, you can see these dates right here. So this will be next week right here, 22nd through the 26th right there, and I'll zoom in for you. And you see right there these percentages, but those numbers. And so I'll just take whatever the price is. Mine is 102 plus 102. Again, this will change by Sunday night and stuff, and the options market calculates it. And then I'll go back for each day, and I'll do the same thing every day, right? For the members and stuff, and calculate this stuff up. Again, you're not saying it's perfect, but you end up within these ranges about 68% of the time on the daily and the weekly, unless you're in some crazy downtrend or uptrend a lot of times, or something happens. Or you can just pay a whopping $7.99 a month for the membership, or like $84 for the year, and I'll do it for you. On Monday, that's when the weeklies come out. You can see all those, and then dailies are each day I put out. So, anyway, hope that helps you, Brian. Now, Alan here, I'm not sure about this question, but I think I know what you're asking. He said, could you help explain the interest rate fluctuations from one day to the next? And he goes on describing these. And I'm assuming you're not talking about interest rates. I'm assuming you're talking about bond yields. That's my assumption. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. The reason why I asked that, because you talked about Friday dropping, and of course yields drop, right? Because interest rates, and I don't pay attention to interest rates. Maybe they fluctuate like crazy, but the yields fluctuate like crazy for many reasons right here. And the reasons are economic data comes out, right? Like say inflation, when it goes up, what happens? Yields spike up because they realize the Fed can't cut. Of course, when the Fed makes moves on the Fed funds rate, that's going to affect everything as well. Also, as you've seen with bond auctions, right? The government is issuing just record amounts of debt, okay? And so, again, people take on that debt on the longer ones, like 10, 20, 30, they're like, hey, man, we need more, right? Because the yields are so high on the shorter term, why wouldn't you just do a 5-year instead of a 30-year? The yields aren't that much different, right? So, and that's another reason you'll see them fluctuate them down. Any kind of war news coming out of the Middle East, you see yields will spike, things of that nature as well. So there's many things that affect the yields. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. I'm assuming you're not talking about mortgage rates and savings account rates and stuff like that. And if you are, let me know. But again, I think that's what you're talking about, and that's what affects yield. So it's a lot of things can affect the yields. Plus, like the yield curve, when it uninverts, I just did a whole video on that for the members. You're going to see the 10 2-year make a move, right? And there's a reason for that. So hopefully that helps you out right there. Let me know if it did not. I misunderstood. My next one here comes to market shifts. Hey, Mike, I'm a new to trading view. Can you explain how you get the daily 50-moving average to show up like that on the lower time frames, like the 1 hour, etc.? I don't do anything special, so maybe I'm just doing it wrong or something, but I've always done it like this. I just pull it to 50 on the daily, and right here you can see it. It's just a regular 50-moving average like anything else. And we'll pull up NVIDIA to put it on right, because it just lost this 50-moving average like in a lot of other stocks. And, I mean, this will go to the daily here. This is the daily, and I look at it and I go, okay, cool. And sometimes you can't really see, though, right? Because you'll see on the daily, it looks like it's crossed. And so I just start scaling down to the smaller time frames, right? And it kind of shows me the exact time of when this thing started moving down, right? So Thursday and then Friday got absolutely obliterated, right? So it really moved down. And so that's how I do it. Let me know if there's something I'm doing wrong on that. It's just how I've always done it. Maybe it's not accurate or something, but you can see right there at the same time and everything is when it shows up that, what am I on, the 15-minute now? On the hourly was the same time. So it just gives me a better detail. Did we actually break through it or did we not? So that's what I do. Thanks for the question. Hope that helps. The last one here is a lot more complicated. If you guys know the answer to this, let me know. I have an answer, and maybe it's totally wrong. You can't really find anything when you Google this one. But how does one tell the difference between a Wyckoff distribution pattern and a bull flag / wedge? For me, the answer is, when I look at this, a Wyckoff distribution pattern takes a long time to play out. You can see everything that has to happen in order for this to be considered Wyckoff distribution. There's also Wyckoff accumulation. And you can see all the tests and the uptrends and the upthrust and all this stuff. And within that, if you looked at this, and especially if you went to the hourly, how many bull flags would you see? So I think bull flags, wedges are what takes place during a Wyckoff distribution or accumulation phase, whichever one you want to put. And so I think, to me, that is the answer. So when you're saying, because a bull flag is not going to sit there and take as long as a Wyckoff distribution or accumulation pattern, right? I mean, it's called a pattern. And so I think to me, that's the answer, but I could be totally wrong. Again, you try Googling this, you're not going to find it. But when I look at it, that just makes sense to me. So please, in the comments, if you happen to know for a fact or you've had that question asked to you, let me know. But that was one of our members asking, so I was like, I'll look into it and put it in Saturday's video, because some of you guys are super savvy at that stuff, and so definitely let me know. But also let me know what you think about, Tesla, we talked about in the beginning, whether you agree, disagree, whatever it is. And what do you guys think the bottom for the stock actually is? I mean, honestly, not like if you just hate the company and you want to go to zero, but I mean, honestly, where do you think the bottom's at, right? Because I've seen, when you look at the chart, you're going, well, it could be 144, could be 130, 132, could be 100, right? And so, again, when you look at it, let me know what you guys seriously think, and try to keep your emotions to the side for sure. And I'll share that in Sunday's video and stuff maybe. So anyway, hope you guys got some out of it. Feel free to ask any more questions. I'll put it in next Saturday's video, okay? And tomorrow we'll set up the week with a video for the week, which would be pretty interesting after Friday's price action, okay? A lot of stocks losing those moving averages. So anyway, hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow.